Hi, my name is Isabella Rodriguez. I go by Izzy. My pronouns are he, they, she, and for my policy brief paper, I'm going to be speaking about the issue of transphobia and treatment of trans people in college campuses. In this brief video, I will talk about the research I've learned, how I would like to go about changes that some campuses could go through in order to dismantle the discrimination and transphobia against these people. Now, while many college campuses have started to accept the trans community and the LGBTQ community, some states, some areas still have trouble with accepting and understanding these people. So in turn, they result to transgressions, phobias, and aggressions, whether that be physical or verbal transgressions. Now, for SUNY Fredonia specifically, to provide an example, is one of the more inclusive college campuses all around the country. There's gender-neutral bathrooms, hundreds of clubs, inclusive to all kinds of people, and it's one of those colleges where you go because you know that you would be accepted there. But not every college is like Fredonia. Not every college is inclusive, and that's what I'm going to be getting into today. Now to start, ever since colleges have been a thing, there have always been student dorms. There have always been students moving into these colleges, living there, dorming there, but for the longest time, there have always either been, all-girls schools or all-boys schools, or there's always been female dorms or male dorms, or they've always been split up by their gender. Obviously, that's not the case as much now, because of course there are gender-neutral or co-ed dorms now, but even though there are those inclusive dorm spaces now, living spaces, that doesn't make the feeling of loneliness disappear. Very similarly to the dorm housings, athletic teams for colleges are also really ingrained in that idea that you have to be split up by your gender. Because while dorm housings have co-ed, when it comes to sports, a lot of these sports teams are still split up by gender, whether it be only women can play this sport, only men can play this sport, or there's two teams of one sport, but one team is all women and another team is all men. There's not a lot of overlap. To get into the definition of transphobia, to hopefully understand this a bit more, transphobia is defined as the degree to which an individual is uncomfortable with or prejudiced toward a trans individual, but also towards any individual who may bend or transgress traditional heterosexual gender roles. Now, this includes a variety of people who cross-dress or drag performers and drag queens, women who dress or act masculine, and vice versa, men who dress or act femininely. And going tune in tune with transphobia as well, homophobia also are big causes as to why some college students in this group may feel social isolation from their peers. Now, social isolation has two main parts. Either the individual may feel that they can't be honest with their peers and their family about who they are by Savin Williams and Ream, or if they're honest but are isolated by said peers and family from Gramling, Rebecca, and Nancy. To conclude, as much as these colleges, Fredonia, might try to be more gender inclusive and add more trans inclusive policies and ideals onto their campuses, like gender neutral bathrooms, for example, it's not going to be a foolproof option to get people to stop being prejudiced to these people. So what my solution is, my idea to this problem is, much like this class, include teachings about trans and queer history, because those two go hand in hand. The main idea of this policy brief is about trans people, but this would also help for other members of the community. So like I said, a lot like this class or just a regular women's study class, gender studies, having a class, an elective, or even a club or casual meetup that talks about and deals with discrimination against these people and talks about their history and really just uplifts them in a positive light that maybe, hopefully, because we can hope, that it'll eventually dismantle the normative, heteronormative ideals that we've been ingrained with into our heads, that we've grown up with, taught about, raised on. The more we learn about these histories and the more we see them as people, the more the rest of these campuses and colleges will accept them, and transphobia will be less rampant in the communities, or maybe even not in the community at all. And these are my references. That was my policy brief paper. Thank you.